call. Anyone else wishing to speak to the item?
I want to speak because I think people are not seeing the real problem there. They're talking about environment.
Excuse me, hold one second, please.
Okay,
You have not been recognized by the chair.
Sorry.
You're representing the applicant because I think you've already
Yes, I'm
been
his
given
partner, but I have
opportunity.
something that he didn't say, and I would like to.
Just a minute. It's okay. We did hear the presentation before.
No, because they're talking about making a park in this piece.
I
But
understand, and we've seen the maps.
Over there is the most dangerous curve in Griffin Road. 2 weeks ago,
Sir,
a car
you have not
went
been
through
recognized.
and spin around, and he actually went into somebody's neighbor's property.
We understand the issue, and
So,
we've seen it. Now, please.
There's a road there. There's no
Yes,
parking.
yes.
I don't understand it.
All right, thank you. I understand. Is there last call? Is there anyone else wishing to speak to this? No, you've had your shot. Now, anybody else? Last call. All right. State your name.
My name is
address.
Kepler Verduga. I live in 12600 Griffin Boulevard. I've been there for almost 3 years now, and they've done a really good job with their landscaping and everything. I personally felt offended the day that I saw the palm trees that they planted. I felt it was offensive for the neighborhood just to go ahead and plant whatever they feel like they need to plant it. I've been there for 3 years, and I thought that was an opportunity to do something for the community. The blind guy who lived next door to them don't want them to buy them. They don't want them to buy the property. So I just want to speak in behalf of him. He's not here.
All right. We can't go there because they didn't send their own representative.
Okay.
and they had
No,
the
I'm just
choice
saying
to do
that because it's not true.
I-
And also, I have 4 dogs in my house, and I like a space to walk my dogs around, like just our neighbor China said. Okay?
All right. Thank you very much. Now, is there anyone else who would like to speak to this issue? Last call, hearing none. Public hearing is closed. It's time for commission discussion.
I'd like to say something. I find it very troubling that the manager and the parks director are talking about this when it's an important public policy issue and the citizens should be more involved. But the other thing is this. If this kind of a reaction is taking place, how long before they take all the canal ends in the city, in every residential neighborhood, and say the city doesn't want to maintain them anymore and the abutting property owners can buy it? It's just really the beginning of a dangerous precedent. That if you have an established policy of maintaining canal ends in the east side of the city, that should be the policy throughout the entire city. And because one area has organized homeowners that speak to these issues, that isn't the only reason why they do it, but the fact that these folks haven't been organized enough to let the manager know it's not been maintained shouldn't penalize them. And I think that I feel very sorry that the property owner was led to believe that this is a good idea for him to take it over when it is a city responsibility, and that he in his own interests in having a beautiful property moved on the application and spent money. And the last time this came before us 2 months ago, I suggested the city reimburse him his application fees. And he withdrew the application, and I'm kind of bothered that it came back again because in a way it blindsided the residents who thought this matter had been resolved. And I really think that the residents of the area should meet with the city manager. Absolutely meet with the city manager.
I'm not against the idea of having it.
All right, please, we cannot, Maureen, we
Yeah.
can't.
So I would like a motion to deny the application with the understanding that this applicant will be reimbursed his costs.
I don't believe that we can handle the reimbursement issue at this level.
The costs that were paid were basically costs incurred by the city in doing the appraisal and the application fee that everybody would have to pay. So it's not within the purview of this commission to, well, you may propose it. It's not going to be, your decision to make to refund.
You can't make the reimbursement a part of the motion.
Okay, I make a motion that the application be denied.
You'd need a second.
I'll second.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question.
I'll have, what's the discussion?
You,
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Go
and
ahead.
Fellow panel members. Before we even began hearing the public speaking, we asked the city all the important legal issues about this, and obviously the city has chosen not to address it and dump it back in our laps because they didn't want to have to deal with this piece of property. And in fact, if they are obligated to have to deal with this property, just as they are any other piece of property in the city of North Miami, there's no way that we can go along with accepting the applicant's wishes to buy this. And if this means that they need to go back to the drawing board and the city needs to, perhaps this will wake them up and get them to talk to the rest of the community and figure out another way to deal with this piece of property other than just getting rid of it, abandoning it, selling it to somebody else. I think staff was given enough opportunity by us the last time, and they just threw it back in our court, and I just don't accept that.
I'd like to say something.
all right, Mr. Castor?
I understand that it does not require the park board to review this issue. I would recommend that although it does not require for the park board to review it, that they review it because this is the second time that this issue has come to us. And obviously the city is not doing what it's supposed to in terms of keeping the property the way it should be. And apparently it's a big issue. I believe the city should start, keeping up with this property and try to figure out a way to deal with it with the community, with Mr. Bex and every other individuals who are involved. I have no issue and no problem with Mr. Beck wanting to purchase this land, but there's other residents who have issues, and I think it should be dealt with accordingly.
Call the question.
Well, I'll give you my gut feeling on this thing, and then we'll call the question. I would support the transfer of the property, the sale of it to Mr. Beck in simple terms. To me, this is too small of a parcel to be practical or effective, and we're going to look at the same issue when we get to 129th Street, which is just a couple of lots further up, where we also have this same scenario of a right-of-way in a street ending on the canal. And I think it would be appropriate for the homeowners to address that vacant parcel, since the owners on neither side of that have offered to buy that land, and that would be a place to focus the time and energy. On this one, I'd favor the sale and move beyond this issue, but of course, that's my personal feeling on the matter. Right now, we have a motion from Ms. Harwitz on the floor to deny this. We have a second. We need to vote on that motion, and then if that passes, then you can make a recommendation that it be referred to the Parks and Recreation Board, but that's a separate issue. So let's first...
Further discussion, Mr.
Do
Chairman?
you want further discussion? We can discuss it from now till the cows come home.
Of course, this will go before the new city council that we have
That's correct.
Coming up, correct? Regardless if we approve it or disapprove it,
Either way.
it's still at their mercy. So I want to caution those of you in the audience that if we do deny the application, it still goes through another process, and you're going to have to deal with a whole new set of players before you to make this decision. So just bear in mind that that's what you're going to face, and there still could be a lot of legal complications involved in it. My objection, ma'am, we can't, while I'm discussing this.
But you made a statement.
No,
Who will
no.
we go in front of?
You will have to just
Again, this goes before the city council. We recommend to the city council approval or disapproval. The city council makes the final decision as to whether or not this goes through. They can either accept our denial, or they can overturn it.
well, we haven't denied it yet. Let's
No,
be
we haven't
practical.
denied it, or we haven't approved it.
For clarification, this is an advisory board. This is the first step in the process. The final step is before city council, which I expect the next hearing would be June 25th. But they'll be publicly noticed.
All right, so are we ready to?
Yes, yes.
All right, we're ready to. We have a motion on the floor by Ms. Horowitz, seconded by Jason James. Now we need to take a vote on the motion. Those who would support the motion, come down the line. Gene, yes or no? In favor of the motion or not?
Oh, I would say no, simply because there's too many residents.
So you're voting for the motion.
You're voting with Ms. Horowitz?
Correct.
The
You're
motion,
voting
the
to
motion,
deny.
the
Okay.
motion is to deny the
Deny.
application.
The
Voting to
motion is
deny.
to deny
Let's
the
clarify that.
application.
Yes.
You're voting to deny the application. Maureen, you
Yes.
of course vote to deny the application. Mr. James?
Yes.
You'll vote to deny. Mr. Ernst?
Yes.
All right, and I would vote the other way, so that's 4-1. And this goes now to City Council.
Can we take a 3-minute break?
Oh, I need more than 3. We are in recess for 10 minutes. A resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, approving fiscal year 2013-2014 action plan under the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, and Home Investment Partnership Grant, HOME, programs, providing for an effective date and for all other purposes. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve the proposed action plan and forward their recommendation to the Mayor and Council for consideration and transmittal to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, for its adoption. The board is quite familiar with this request. It's something that you see on an annual basis, but I'll provide the background information for the general public nonetheless. It says U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, the federal agency responsible for administration of the CDBG and home programs, requires each entitlement jurisdiction to prepare an action plan outlining needs and priorities for the funding year. Each jurisdiction is also required to invite public participation in the process through an open forum. An action plan is defined as a comprehensive document which describes the city's overall needs and priorities relative to housing and community development. Each year, the action plan must be prepared and submitted to HUD for approval prior to release of funds. In fiscal year 2013-2014, the city will receive approximately $721,262 and $200,012 in CDBG and home funding, respectively. As part of the planning process, 2 public meetings were held to solicit public input on the proposed plan. The meetings were held at the Sunkist Grove Community Center and the Griffin Adult Center on May 21st, 2013, and also May 22nd, 2013, respectively. Prior to the public meetings, there were several inquiries from community organizations about the public service portion of the proposed plan, which was published in the Miami Herald on May 19th, 2013, and posted on the city's website. Notice was also emailed to all homeowner associations, inviting them to participate in the process. The proposed action plan consists of housing, public services, and administrative activities. We have the city's CDBG coordinator here, Carolyn Francis Royer, which is to make a presentation at this time.
Carly?
Good evening, Carolyn Francis Royer, Community Planning and Development. The only additional information I would like to offer is that the numbers used in the staff report were preliminary, and this week we received the final allocation from HUD. CDBG was $789,881, and home funds was $201,661.
What was the first one? I'm sorry.
Well, could you repeat the numbers again, please? I'm sorry.
For CDBG, it's $789,881. And for home, it's $201,661.
Well,
So we got an increase.
a very
overall.
slight
A
increase.
slight
That's good.
increase.
And I understand that the legislature has appropriated some additional monies for next fiscal year. Have we any projection on how that'll work for us, or we don't know?
We don't know yet.
Okay.
The regular federal budget was about 2 months late, so for the additional funds, we're not really sure. We just have to wait and see.
All right.
So now, the numbers, you stated in the report that was a 3% decrease that you have rejected. So that we can, that's now no longer can be assumed that it's a 3% decrease in funding. In fact, it is now an increase. Is that correct? Because the
There's
records
a-
show that it's a 3% decrease. That's now a
There
plus.
was a 3% decrease in home funds.
In home fund.
In home funds. Last fiscal year.
It was 743,569. The
That's for
decrease,
CDBG.
right, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
CDBG was increased, but home was decreased.
Okay.
Okay.
So you got about 70,000 more in the CDBG, and the home, for all intents and purposes, is about the same.
Yes.
No statistical difference.
Will that change the number on the community block grant numbers that we see there?
Yes.
How will that change that? Because that comes before us for distribution at the end of the year, I believe. So.
I
what-
have copies of the updated numbers. I'll bring you some copies now. There was a slight change in most of the activities, except for the first-time home buyers and the tenant-based rental assistance.
So we gained $10,000 for community-based organizations, roughly
Yes.
10,000. All right. May I continue?
Yes, go ahead.
What part of the activities, are we subcontracting or outsourcing any of the services for the administrator or the housing inspectors, or is that all in-house city of North Miami employees?
The housing inspector is a regular city employee.
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing that's contracted out is like environmental inspections, and that usually falls under the administrative, the 20% administrative program allocation.
Is there a reason for that? Because we don't have anyone that is like certified for that, or like why is that subbed out and not done by one of our guys?
We don't have the expertise of a regular employee for the environmental inspections.
And that's a one-time service fee to do that? or-
Yes, I believe it's in the range of $275 to $300 per property.
Okay.
All right, do we have any other questions?
I do.
Jason, go ahead.
Just informational, just so I know. How many, do you guys like have a breakdown more or less of how many homes, that this will cover? Any idea?
Okay.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, sorry.
No, that's fine. For CDBG, the maximum amount per house is $25,000.
Okay.
That's in our housing guidelines. And the total we're spending for CDBG on rehab is $385,068 if you look on the CDBG allocation worksheet.
Okay.
So you've got perhaps 14 homes
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Potentially. More
Right.
maybe if you spend less per house.
Right.
You might get up to 20 homes.
And for the home program, the maximum amount per home is 40,000.
And that's under the housing, the single-family rehab assistance?
Yes.
So it could be anywhere from 5 to 20 homes depending on the need.
Right.
Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions?
No, sir.
No? Hearing none, the chair calls for motion.
Move for approval.
All right, move for approval by Mr. Ernst. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Castor. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, that concludes this Planning Commission meeting, except to set the date for next month, if there is going to be one next month.
July 2nd, Mr. Chair.
Now, what is the appointment schedule for planning commissioners?
Your terms expire on June 14th.
June 14th they
Yes,
expire.
so we've notified the clerk's office that the council would need to make reappointments.
I believe it's June 11.
This says the 14th.
The
Is that
11th
for-
or the 14th, whatever, but it's
But the
there.
clerk's office is aware that the council needs to be notified to make reappointments or new appointments.
This is for everyone here? Or?
No, it's not for everyone.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think it's per council.
I'll let you know. Commissioner Horowitz is up for reappointment. There's a vacancy for Jesus Ramon that needs to be filled. Castor, you're not up for reappointment. Seifried is not. Charles Ernst is up for reappointment. Jason James is the replacement for Phil Zami, who's resigned. Bonnie Schwartzbaum is up for reappointment. Kenny Each is not. And there's now a vacancy for Commissioner Privatel's resignation.
So we have 2 vacancies now that need to be filled.
Correct.
Okay. All right, well, let's see what happens. And our next meeting is July the 2nd.
Yes.
Okay? Mark your calendars accordingly, people. And let's hope it's somewhat drier out there now than it was when we got here. There's no further business to come before the Planning Commission. We stand adjourned. Thank you all. Mr. James, it's a pleasure to see you tonight.
Thank you.
We look forward to this. Oh, by the way, now